Hey gang, welcome to the Gill Athletics Connections podcast, the show that brings you the men and women of track and field and explores their unique stories. This show is brought to you by Gill Athletics. Head on over to gillathletics.com to find all your track and field equipment needs. I'm your host, Mike Cunningham, National Sales Manager for Gill Athletics, and this week our guest is Joseph Blue. Really had a great time getting to know this young man, young coach that is really starting to do some great things, specifically in the throws world. Just had an absolute just awesome time getting to know him and his journey to where he is now at Cal Poly-Pomona. So know you're going to be excited about that. Real quick, if you are liking the podcast, would really appreciate ratings and reviews on iTunes or whatever Spotify that you listen to. You want to be subscribed because that is how you know when we publish the next Gill Athletics Connections episode, and would just help you out to learn more about the future. So, hey, all right, all that stuff is done. Without further ado, please help me welcome the wise, the wonderful Joseph Blue. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, man, it is going awesome with the exception of no track meets. Joseph Blue, thanks for joining us today on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Super excited to spend some time with you and get to know your background a little bit better. Why don't you start by telling us, who you are and what you coach and where you coach?
So I'm Joseph Blue. I coach at Cal Poly-Pomona. That's pretty much, you said the introduction, just who I am, right?
Yeah, and what events
And
do you coach?
all right, so I coach all throwing events, javelin, hammer, discus, shot put, all those, and also the weight now that we have women's indoor.
Now, in our pre-interview, you talked about normally at practice, you are like 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. My experience with other throws coaches is that's pretty normal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is that because you do like shot put all at once, discus all at once, or because you have that
Um,
many athletes?
well, I have a good group of athletes. I have probably about, I would say like 13 now, and I'm expected to have like 20 next year. But
Mm,
the reason why I split that up is just one of my things when it comes to coaching. I like to coach in detail, and
mm,
I want them to understand it thoroughly. So I try to keep the group small. And
mm,
then definitely when I first got to Cal Poly Pomona, basically like I wanted to kind of, I guess, make sure they understand exactly what I was coaching. Um, and a lot of them were beginning to learn technique and stuff like
mm,
that. So having a big group and having a bunch of them trying to learn at one time was going to be like hard for them because
mm,
I don't want to get in a situation where I feel like I'm coaching one more than the other. So I
mm,
kept it in small groups, and I found that to be like the most effective as far
mm,
as like progression and all that. So I kind of kept it like that, especially when I because I have some guys that just do hammer. When you have javelin throwers, most of them just do javelin,
mm.
and then I have people who do all four, and I have people that do three, and I have people that do two. So
Right.
I kind of split those groups. Normally I'll have three groups, and then we'll have one weightlifting time. So I'll have a jav group, and then I have a group that does all three, and then I have just the guys that just do hammer, or the throws
Yeah.
that just do hammer.
And good point there that almost a fifth event there is the weight room, which is obviously critical for any track and field event, but maybe more so for the throws. Out of the 4 events, and we can say 5, the weight throw, of course, is in there as well. Is there one that you maybe you favor more than the other? One of your favorite events?
My favorite to coach is definitely hammer.
Hmm.
It's hammer because I wasn't a hammer thrower in college. I
Oh,
wasn't that good. I tried to pick it up. My coach was an Olympic hammer thrower for America Samoa,
oh, geez.
and so I'm thinking like, this is the event to go to, but it kind of never really worked out. It didn't work out that way. I ended up being more of a shot guy, shot and disc, morely shot. But yeah, hammer is like once I like kind of understood what was going on, it became a challenge for me, and then I just fell in love with it after that. After I seen like the growth with my athletes, that was my first conference champion was a hammer, my women's hammer thrower.
You still there for me?
Yeah, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, I got you. So, Yeah, sorry about that. So let's take a step back. The Hammer is your favorite to coach, and we'll talk a lot about the Hammer because it was my favorite to watch out of all the throwing events for practice and at a meet. So let's take a step back and let's figure out how the Hammer became your favorite and how you became a shot putter. You're from California. You are a California born and raised, as they say. So how was high school? How did you get into track and field and throwing specifically in the high school ranks?
Um, I remember the first time I started throwing was my freshman year of high school. Um, I wasn't good at all. I was trash. I didn't know. I never knew what shot put or none of that was. I just remember my history teacher. He was the head track and field coach, and he was a young guy. He was like 22, just graduated college and stuff, and this is his first year uh, teaching. So, and I was in this class, and he was telling me that I should like join the team, and I was like, what I'm gonna do? I know I'm not gonna run. Like I was pretty fast for a big guy, but I wasn't gonna run. And it was like you can throw it or whatever. So and then I went out there and found like uh, some of my teammates was already throwing. I didn't never knew, but
Mm.
I went out there and I basically was stand throwing tennis shoes, and we didn't really have no coach to coach the event, so
Do you
I was
remember?
struggling for a while.
Do you remember your first throw that was measured? Like how far was it? Your very first one.
Well, the first one, I don't. I remember like loving discus. Like I remember throwing discus. Like I felt like I was better at discus
Uh-huh.
then. And I want to say it was like 85 feet
Oh yeah.
or something like that. Shot put, I know like my freshman year, the best was like 29 feet for
Uh-huh.
10 pounds with the stand throw. It was pretty, it was, yeah.
So how did you like? What was your motivation to keep going? You said you weren't that good, and
Um,
I think that's all relationship and what you think, to be honest with you. But so how did why'd you stay on it and not quit and go play baseball?
um, I don't, I guess it was a way, I don't know, I'm a real sociable guy. I was always like to be around people, so I kind of did it just to
Mm.
do something, trying to, and it was fun to me. It was a challenge. Like even though I wasn't good,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had some potential. Period. So
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna. That's why I kept going and trying to get better.
What was you said you knew you had some
Yeah.
potential there. When was the breakthrough for you whether it was sophomore, junior, senior year that you were like, oh, okay, yeah, I might be decent at this.
Yeah. So my senior year, I still didn't throw that far. I ended up throwing. I think my PR was like 49 feet or something like that. But it was good for me and for our school. So at that time, I think I had transferred schools to a different because I moved to a different school on the east side of Bakersfield, East Bakersfield High. And first I was going to Bakersfield High for my first 2 years, and then so when I got there, I actually had a coach who's now the athletic director there, and I learned how to spin. I tried to do the spin. I kind of didn't really learn it because I didn't know the concepts that I know now, but I guess I learned it a little bit. So I ended up like we went to league. I think it was league. Yeah, it was league at the end of the year of my senior year. Um, I think before that I was throwing like 42 feet was my PR, and I just jumped up by like what 6 feet? No, 8 feet. Yeah, I jumped.
Just from
Yeah.
moving from a stand throw to a
No, well, I was gliding, but it wasn't no good
yeah,
glide. So basically, you just
sure.
stand. Once I kind of learned how to spin, I never recreated that either though. Like once I did it, once I spun that time, I just like hit it. I don't know, and
Hmm.
I ended up getting third in league that year. And I went to area, and I think I threw like 45, and I didn't make it past that after that.
Hmm.
But I knew it was
And
something. It was something to do, and I learned to like it. And yeah, I learned to like it, and then yeah, basically, I didn't think I
it's
was gonna
kind of a
recruit it or anything though. So I was a
yeah, it was
football
kind of
guy. I was a big football guy more than track and field.
so you're playing football all the way through high
Hmm.
school as well.
Yeah,
Now, what were you there? Were you
I
quarterback,
was I was
receiver?
a running back. Now that was
Yeah, is that right?
my no. I ran.
Oh, I was about to
I
say.
did run the ball a few times and got a couple touchdowns. Um, also was a rugby player, so I think a lot of people can't tackle me, but I was a defensive tackle. I sucked at blocking people. A lot of people think I would be an O line, but I can
Right.
block somebody, but I can definitely go get somebody. And I was really naturally strong, so I would just throw people around. But early on, like when I first started high school, I wasn't as puberty didn't hit me yet, and then until about like end of sophomore year, then I shot up to like 6'3" and got a little
Wow.
stronger, slimmed down a little bit, and became more of a man. They would
Yeah.
say.
It happens one day, sometimes later than others for all
Exactly.
of us. So you mentioned you said you were a rugby player.
Yeah, yeah. I played rugby.
So
Yeah.
tell me more about that, because I grew up in the great state of Alabama, and we don't have no rugby down there. What tell me about rugby, and how is that?
Um. Well, I really started playing rugby in my first year of college. Yeah, I joined the club
Hmm.
rugby team because a lot of my friends was doing rugby and it was just something to do. I know when after I wasn't playing football anymore, like
Hmm.
I was like I'm gonna join the rugby club, and that was before track and all that. I walked on the track, but basically went out for rugby and played for a season, and it was funny because I practiced when I got there. I hate running, but I'm fast for a big guy. But the conditioning part is the worst part for me. I just like
Oh,
I
sure.
can like if I'm moving, like nobody's not gonna be able to stop me. It's like a train. So literally, our practice it used to be like that. Like people couldn't tackle me unless like three people jumped on me and I'm still running. It would be crazy, but it
Wow.
was fun though. I definitely didn't like the conditioning though. It felt like soccer conditioning more like a football conditioning. But
I'm sure a lot of people agree with that. Don't worry.
yeah,
So
yeah,
where did you grew up in Bakersfield, which has a tremendous track history itself.
yeah,
There's a lot of good track athletes that come out of that area. A lot of good athletes in general.
yeah.
Where you mentioned you walked on. So where did you end up going to
So
college?
so when I went to college, the first I was supposed to go to San Jose State for football, and it didn't work out. I couldn't pay one of my fees or something because I grew up super poor. So like
Mhm.
when it came to a point, I think it was prom. I had to like when prom, I had this amount of money. I ended up spending too much money at prom, and I didn't have the money to pay for my orientation fee. So I told myself I was gonna go as a recruit walk on there, and I was like, if I can't go, then I guess I'll go to Fresno State because their orientation fee was like $55 compared to San Jose State at that time. And so I ended up going to Fresno State. But I love Fresno
Wow.
State a lot though. Really, when I went, I had like some of the best times, and it opened up a lot for me. But anyways, yeah. So I was Fresno State. Walked on the football, um, and then football didn't work out, and end up that's when I ended up trying out for track. But I went the
Mm.
first year to try out for track too, but I think it was something with eligibility or something that
Mm.
they couldn't keep me on. Oh, it was like I think it was the roster size that year, and the next year was going to
Hmm.
be better for me to walk on. And I tried out at Fresno State with Coach Lisa, and she gave me a shot because I came back. I guess it was me, some other guys, and I think a girl. But that day that when I tried out at Fresno State, I didn't know the whole time I was practicing. I was practicing shot put with an 18-pound shot, and I'm the only one
Oh,
who had an 18-pound shot, and we didn't know because it's kind of like, all right, let's go to the shed, grab some shot puts, and I
yeah.
grabbed an 18-pound, not knowing,
That's a
but
big
yeah,
difference.
it was a big difference. But I threw 48 feet with the 18-pound. Never did it again in my
Wow.
life.
Hey, there's something to be said there about the mental side of it. Of once you knew it was 18, it then became impossible to throw that far. That's funny.
Yeah, I never. Yeah,
So
once I did that, then yeah,
you mentioned your coach there, who is a great person,
yeah,
Lisa. I
Mr.
can't even
Pekka,
pronounce her. Yeah, thank
Mr.
you.
Pekka, yeah.
Uh, who was I believe she was a UCLA thrower. Is that correct?
No, she went to South Carolina with like
South Carolina.
yeah, they
That's
had
right.
back then they had a squad of multiple Olympians and stuff
She was a
with
Gamecock. I
with
knew she
Atlanta
was in a
Goods and all that.
yeah. I remember she was in a great throws program, so I was thinking Art Venegas, but yeah, South
Yeah,
Carolina.
those
That's
I
right.
think those
Yeah.
two schools are the ones that kind of ran it back here, UCLA and South
Oh,
Carolina.
for sure. And she is, what an awesome person, great coach. Is now in some administrative roles, I believe.
Yeah,
She's a phenomenal person. Love her to death.
yeah, me too. Yeah, she was like I felt like she was like a second mom to me. I remember a
Mm.
couple times I practiced, I called her mom by accident. We
Oh,
spent so much time together.
that's awesome though. Holy cow. What an
Yeah,
influence she had on
yeah.
you, obviously.
We used to have our little signature handshake and all
Oh, that's that. So that sounds like, I mean, and a very good friend of mine like my brother was at Fresno State for a long time, so I know a little bit about the Fresno State program. That time that you had there, that really imprinted on you
Yeah,
as a person.
definitely, when I went there.
Did you, while you were going through and having, obviously just an awesome time
Yeah.
there in the Valley, was coaching in the cards for you at that point, or did you think of another career track?
Um, yeah, I actually was a coach while I was in Fresno. I coached football though. I coached at Roosevelt High School in Fresno. So I did. I think I started. The first thing I coached when I was in Fresno, I coached at Boys and Girls Club. I did I was taking like a community service class, and I ended up volunteering there. I ended up becoming the head coach for their like flag football team, and then I think all within that same year, like of my freshman year, and I think a little bit of my sophomore year, the fall of my sophomore year, I was coaching football, and I coached at Roosevelt. I coached JV defensive line, and then but when it came to track and field, I wanted to coach, but I didn't have the opportunity then. I was just still trying to get on the team, and I think then I ended up on the team, and I had to quit coaching football, and I was just on the team from here on out. But I didn't really think about coaching track. I think, well, no, actually, you know what? I'll take that back. I was thinking about coaching because my whole thing was that I was going to be a PE teacher and coach. My
Mm-hmm.
thing was like I'm going to be a PE. I was coach football though. That was the biggest thing. I was going to be a PE teacher like my coach from high school and then coach football. That was the goal back then. It was so
Mm-hmm.
much an influence on me. Like that changed my life, football and stuff. And I basically wanted to go back and give back, and that's kind of like what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
now. That's the reason why I ended up coaching track and field.
So were you a physical education major through
No, I
Fresno State?
was my first year, and then I had to switch when I got on the team because I wasn't on track. And you know, when it comes to eligibility credits and stuff, you have to be at a certain level. And I made it the team on my I made the team on my sophomore year, so they were telling me like, you won't be on the right track to be eligible athletically, so you got to switch to a major. And at that time, I ended up switching to communication because I had a communication class, and I love like public speaking and stuff like that. And I was just like, all right, this is what I want to do. Or for some reason in my head, I was thinking communication tied in. I was thinking about being a athletic academic advisor. So I was like, I'm gonna do communication, and then I never thought about getting a master's or anything, but yeah, I was gonna do that. I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna do. I was just trying whatever I was going at the time. But yeah,
Just get through college.
you know
I hear
how
you.
it goes. Your first 2 years, you figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Nobody in my family ever went to college, so I never like I never knew exactly how to play it, but I knew I had to go to make my life better. Um, that was the whole thing that I got. So I was just trying to figure it
You
out.
you didn't have a path before you, an example before you, so you
Exactly.
had to carve your own path.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're talking about the credits towards a major, you have to be so far along towards a degree to be eligible in NCAA, right? Like
Yeah,
after your sophomore year, you have to be 45% or
yeah,
something like
yeah. It was
that.
something like that. I don't. I think it was 30%, and then junior
Right.
year was like 60, and it was all yeah. So I don't remember the exact numbers
Got it.
because D1 is different from D2. But
Right.
and then during that time, I'm sure it was a lot different because I was in like
Hmm.
2011.
Right. That's right. Yeah, the rules change every year, don't they?
Yeah, right. Something happened.
So you receive your degree in communications.
Yeah.
Did you go right into a coaching job, or what happened after graduation?
Um. So, well, I missed that part. Basically, so I was at Fresno State, and I ended up transferring my third year.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
transferred to Northridge. That's where I ended up graduating from.
Oh, yeah. There's another good
Yeah,
school.
yeah, but yeah. So
And do you mind telling us the story? What led to transferring?
transferring. Yeah, well, I'll talk to you about it. Oh, because like you know, I was a walk on,
Mm-hmm.
and walked onto the sport, and I ended up getting really good. I got really good at shot put. I would say I ended up going from like what did at that time what I thought was good. But I ended up going like from like I think my first year like 42 feet or something, and then we went to Stafford Invitational. I remember it like it was yesterday. We went to Stafford Invitational when I was at Fresno State, and I was going against Ashton Eaton in my heat too. Speaking of which, when we talked about
Oh
earlier,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
it was at
right.
Stafford Invitational in the collegiate section they call it. And I remember Ashton was throwing. He PR'd too, like the farthest he ever threw. I think it was like 50 something feet. It was like 15 meters. But I ended up PRing by like a lot. I think I went in like 44 feet, and I ended up throwing 51 at that meet and never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah, I just like, and it was like
Did they?
not even what a reverse. I didn't even know what a reverse in a shot put or discus. I didn't know what a reverse was until I got to Northridge, and I know that. Excuse me. I didn't know that I wasn't reversing. I used to just do this spin around finish. It's so ugly. I wish I could show people the video on here, but but yeah, I threw 51 feet, and I don't know. And then in my head, when I would be doing all this hard work like throughout the season, in my head I was just thinking like, I don't know, like I wanted to get paid for it. And I remember the first
Hmm.
day at Fresno State when I got on the team, um, the head coach announced they was cutting scholarships from all men. Like the men
Mm.
that had it was gonna keep it, but basically from here on out, there's no more men's scholarship program. It's just,
I think I
yeah,
remember that time. That was kind of one of the compromises to keeping the men's program because I believe
yeah,
they
yeah,
tried to drop the men's program.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. That's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I didn't know the impact at that time. I was just like, oh, well, I'm not
sure.
on scholarship anyway. Cause I'm not thinking I'm gonna
Right,
get
right.
enough to earn the scholarship. But I guess when I got to that point, um, it kind of felt like that. Like I wanted to move on. I kept telling myself that, and a lot of the point, it was like, sometimes when you're in sports, it can feel like if you're a walk on, you feel like you like left behind or something, or you might,
Mm.
it just depends on where you at. But at that time, I felt like I was working independently, because my coach had a bunch of good people that were way better than me, like girls that we had like all American hammer throwers, and my coach was a big hammer thrower at that time. So she would spend a lot of her time there, and I would be working independently. So it became, I don't know, it was just a lot of different factors. But I love Coach Lisa though. Like I didn't, it was hard for
Right.
me to do, and I didn't know how to go about it. But I just felt every day it was something told me to like leave. And when I was going to transfer, the first school that I was going to try to go to was University of Houston, because I never done anything like that. Like I never been like out of town. The first time I ever got on a plane is when I actually joined the team at Fresno State when we went to conference. So I don't know. I just wanted to. Someone told me like try to go to Texas, and it didn't work out transferring to Texas because the credit thing too. At that time, I
Mm.
was a junior, and they were like, only 20% of your credits are transferred. So it's like, I'm sorry, man. Good luck. Da, da, da. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right. I'm not starting over.
yeah. And then so I ended up calling Coach Shoots, Jason Shoots, who's at NAU now. Um, I ended up calling back and telling him like I want to come. I never seen Northridge. I never been or nothing. I seen them at meets. I remember seeing them at the Stanford Invitational, but I never like went. I was just like making bold moves, and my sister lived in LA, and it wasn't that far from home. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. So I ended up going to Northridge, and that was like one of the best moves I ever could have made. I think.
Oh, good.
At the time, I didn't think that because it was hard adjusting, expensive wise, and
Hmm.
all. But it ended up being the best for my career, I believe, and for my athletic career and as a coach, one
Interesting.
of the best things I could have done. And I say that because when I got there, I learned how to like do things more efficiently. My senior year, I actually learned how to reverse, and then when it came to coaching, um, um, I got a lot of help like from Coach Avery, who's the head coach at the time, now the head coach at UCLA. And then there's been a bunch of different coaches like Coach Frazier also, who's at UCLA, who helped me out and like basically like when it came to like getting jobs and networking and like Coach Frazier opened his camp up to me for me to work there, so I worked there every summer. And then just like the connections, there's been a bunch of people at Northridge that are in the coaching world now. I think Don Babbitt
Yeah,
went to Northridge too, if I'm not mistaken.
that might be
Yeah,
right
yeah,
because
Don
you're right.
Babbitt went
Northridge
there.
is.
John DeGata, and I know
Hmm.
Art Venegas used to coach there too. Um,
Yeah, Northridge is one of
yeah,
those like coaching schools. A
yeah,
lot of coaches have either gone there or come through their career there. Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that helped me. I think that was the best move that I could have made at that time, and it ended up working out. And like I learned so much pride in my team and teammates, and I feel like I furthered myself when I went to Northridge at that time.
Well, good. You were talking about, it seemed like you're struggling a little bit on how to verbalize, why you transferred. But, we have to take a step back and remember, you were what, 20 years old at the
Exactly.
time. And, now you're a few years on and you've coached a bunch of 20-year-olds. you know
I
what it's like to
understand. Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah,
What a decision of a 20-year-old is for something that big, had never been out of town, never been to a Northridge. Those are big
yeah,
decisions
exactly,
that are tough for a 20-year-old to make. Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah. So you ended up did you finish out with a communications degree
Yeah,
at
so yeah,
Northridge?
I finished with a communications degree at Northridge.
Hmm. And how was the job search to get into
Halfway.
college coaching? Yeah.
So I didn't. I was thinking about coaching still my senior year of track at Northridge, but then after what happened? I didn't have no like. First, I didn't really have no guidance to know what I wanted to do. Like I don't know what I was gonna do. I just graduated and I was like, okay, that lasted for like that summer, and then August came and really I ended up being homeless in August. It was crazy because my mom had a
Mm.
stroke and she had to move.
Oh
Yeah, my
no.
mom had a bad stroke, and she moved with my sister, and me and my brother was left in Bakersfield, and so and in the apartment none of us had jobs at the time, so the apartment we got evicted. So I'm like, where am I
Mm.
going? I ended up going with one of my cousins, and then I found a job like a month later, and I started working at this halfway house in Bakersfield, um, where it was just like something to pay the rent, but I was not happy there, and I was just like, man, what am I gonna do? And something just I would check the like look for coaching jobs because I didn't know. I remember I applied for like uh, Texas A&M like straight out of high school. Like I didn't know the ropes how the politics go and the relationships and stuff like that. But
Hey, Joseph, don't don't worry. When I graduated college, Stanley Redwine, it was the year Stanley Redwine became the head coach of Kansas, University of Kansas. So before they had hired Coach Redwine, I sent my resume to Kansas, and I specifically put on there, "Hey, I'm not applying for the head coach. I'm no dummy here. Come on." I go, "But when you get your head coach, please give him my resume. I'm
yeah,
interested in being the assistant coach at Kansas." I get this letter back from Kansas Human Resources and says something like, "We received your application for the head coach at the university." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, people. I look so stupid. What are you thinking? I am
you
not
gotta shoot your shot. You miss
applying."
all the shots you don't take.
Yeah, I wasn't even trying to take that shot, man. I was just trying to, like, when you hire someone, then I'm into, I want to be that guy's assistant.
That's funny. Yeah,
So, how did you get into coaching
but
then?
yeah, so
What was your
I end
first
up
opportunity?
Yeah, so I end up applying to Southern Arkansas. I remember going on a list and like it was like December, November. It was November, December around there. And during that time, everybody usually has their jobs and the only thing that's left on
Right.
the list is schools you never heard of. So a bunch of schools I never heard of, and Southern Arkansas just sounded like the best to me because it sounded close to just Arkansas. I was like, Southern
you
Arkansas, I
you
never heard
recognized
yeah,
Arkansas.
I said, so I applied there, and it was crazy how that worked too. How did it happen? Oh yeah, so during that time they were having a 2016 convention, and it probably was in Texas or something. And when they were having that convention, that's when the coach from Southern Arkansas called me, and he called me, he was like, "Hey Joseph, da da da." I was talking to one of your old teammates who's here, and it was Olympia Jewett, who's the director of ops at UCLA now. And she was like, I was talking to her, and she gave you a really good reference and all this stuff. And it was like, and he basically, I felt like he offered me the job then because it was a GA job.
Mm.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. So I ended up applying. He told me what to do, and I had pretty good grades in college. So I was like, all right, I can go. I never thought about going to grad school, but I was like, what am I gonna do? So I ended up going to grad school there and being a GA. I ended up studying college counsel and student affairs, and I was basically when I got there, I felt like a assistant coach because I had actually more responsibility than I do now at Cal Poly-Pomona. Then I was coaching high jump, I coached all the multis, I coached pole vault, and I coached all the throwers as a
So
GA.
now tell me about this. You before you went to Northridge, you had never been on a plane except for a conference from Fresno,
Yeah,
and Northridge was kind of a stretch, again out of the area for you. What did you think about moving to
Arkansas.
Arkansas?
I don't know. I just packed up my stuff and drove out there. Never drove across the
Oh,
country. I literally only got my license when I turned like in 2014. This is 2016, so like 2 years before that, I just got my license.
wow.
And I just drove across the country and you followed a little maps and got there. And crazy story about
That had to be an adventure.
when I was, yeah, it was an adventure, a crazy adventure, because I remember posting this on Facebook when it happened. So when I drove the whole way and I was good. Texas is so long, you end up going really fast when you're in Texas because it's just open road. So
Right.
I get to Arkansas. It's like on the border of Texas, southern Arkansas, and I think I don't think I was going that fast the first time. The first time I was. The second time I wasn't. So I'm saying first and second time because I got pulled over by the police right when I got in Arkansas. I never got pulled over in my life. On top of that, so I
Oh,
got pulled over. I know I was speeding. I was speeding. I remember, and I told the guy like, yeah, I was. I don't know what I said, but the guy was cool. The first guy was cool, and then I get literally like 5 minutes down the road, another cop pulled me over.
oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like the rudest cop in the world. Like, why? Why? He was
Mm.
just like, I knew I was slowing down because I just got pulled over. So there's no way I could have went fast. You know what I mean? And the guy just started like, it was just like I was shocked. I'm ready to go home after this. This guy's pulled up. I'm not used to pull up a southern accent. I'm like, man, I'm in a movie. I kept my hand on the steering wheel. No, but it was traumatizing. Like it was crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, and man, it was wild. And then so yeah, I made it, and I told him. I think I called my boss and told him. And then man,
Welcome
I
to
don't know.
Arkansas.
And lo and behold, that wouldn't be my last stop in with the cops. I'll tell you this quick story, just for everybody to know. But when I first got there too, um, what happened? I was living in the dorms on campus, and I drove to Walmart, and I came back. Cops pulled me over in front of my dorm building, and the guy was like, "Where are you going?" Da da da, and just like, basically, I don't know, just giving this spiel, but like being rude and like acting like I'm literally just went to Walmart to get some snacks. And he asked me was I drinking and did all this stuff, and he was like, "Can I search your car?" And I was just like, "I'm just trying to go in my room." And I said, I don't drink, I don't do nothing, I'm diabetic, and all this stuff, right? And and he just wouldn't take like it was just like it didn't matter. I told him I was a GA. I thought that stuff was gonna work, and at the time it didn't. So the guy, long story short, he ended up arresting me, and I was nowhere. I didn't drink or nothing. He ended up arresting me and taking me downtown and like saying like I don't know. I think he just got mad or I don't know. He was tripping. I'm downtown. I'm doing all
Wow.
these tests, all this stuff. He knew I was sober. I knew. I think they were just harassing me, and they're doing all this. And he was like, "All right, this is at the end of everything." He was like, "All right, you can do this. I didn't book you for a DUI, but if you can take this ticket, and I will drop you off back at your dorm, and or you can stay down here and we'll book you, like give you a DUI." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I'll take the ticket." And I just said, "I'll take the ticket." And I took the ticket. And then
Wow.
after that happened, I ended up calling my boss again. So I got arrested for no reason and all stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. Like this is wild. I never, even
Right.
in California, I never got treated this way. But I kind of ended up getting worked out. It was definitely that stuff was illegal. It got worked out where like I think my boss called the police chief of our school, and I talked to him, and then I talked to the police chief of that school. I know police chief of the city, which happened to be like a black preacher in that city, and he was cool about it, but he kind of was like, it wasn't like apologetic. It was kind of like, let me see your ticket, I'll take care of it. That was it.
Mm.
But yeah, that kind of died off. But that was a crazy experience when I got there. But
I hope
it wasn't all bad though, huh?
I hope the rest 2 years was less eventful than that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It definitely was. It got
Yeah.
better. I think after that experience, everything got better. Like I don't think I ever got pulled over again. And then I'll see like the police chief out, and I'll see like everything got better. And I guess when people knew me, then it became normal. Like I was okay. I guess I had California license plate. That's why I think they used to just pull me over or something. I made sure to get some Arkansas license plates, and then after that, everything was smooth, and I ended up like it was just like a culture shocker being there, and I just ended up getting used to it, and everybody ended up becoming really welcoming and to me basically, and I ended up becoming like kind of part of the city. And it was a cool experience, and I just grew.
That's awesome. And you had some success there. You had a high jumper that did, which you're not a high jump coach, you're a throws coach. What were you doing
Yeah,
coaching the high jump and coaching it well?
yeah. So I don't know. So when I first started, it was bad. I didn't even. I remember he was like, "These are your high jumpers." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what to do." I had no clue what to do. I didn't know approach. I didn't know none of that. I didn't know no lingo. I'm just like letting them jump. We just having fun. But like I said, I like to take challenges. So I took the time to um, invest in like learning high jump and stuff. And just like I need to learn everything else because you know that transition from being an athlete and coach is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the time to invest, and I just kept learning. I think one of the people I took a lot of learning from. I think when I went to convention, I remember Travis, who was the head coach at Wingate at the time, and he would have like the top D2 high jumpers in the nation. And I remember I talked to him at convention, and he showed me, talked to me about the approach and how it worked. And then I listened to a lot of Bruce Scheck
Oh yeah.
his stuff, and that really helped me understand the scientific part of it, to where I was able to coach it because I was the guy that, like I said, likes to coach in detail and like really want to know when I get them to understand what they're doing and the whys and stuff. So that helped me
Now,
learn that, and then
I tell
yeah,
you, Joseph, that's interesting that you said that. I jokingly say that, one of my goals with the podcast here is to make sure Boo Schexnader is said in every one of them. But what's interesting there, when I'm talking to a jumps or sprints coach and we talk about Boo Schexnader, it's kind of obvious that he would have helped them to coach the high jump, or in my case, specifically the long and triple jump and things like that. But it really talks about the testament of his teaching ability, you coming from a complete throws background as an athlete, as
yeah,
a coach, and he was able to help you understand the differences and mechanics of how to coach a high jumper, which is pretty different than coaching throws.
exactly.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I learned the similarities though. I learned
Hmm.
every single field event has a block. So I would just like implement the block and learn, even though it's a different event, but I learned every single field event has a block to it to make all the energy go through one point, you know.
Right.
And so I kind of applied that and just kind of understood that. And I had like a few. I had I had one guy who was a multi. I think he jumped like 6 feet out of high school. He ended up doing 6'6".
Hmm.
And then one of the girls I was coaching before I left, she was a walk on, and she was like super naturally. She had bounce. She just had to learn. She was super raw, and even when next year when I wasn't there, just from the stuff I instilled, I can tell that she benefited because she ended up jumping 5'7" and 1/4.
Wow.
The next year when I wasn't like that semester I left, she ended up going close to nationals, and she was pretty good.
Now, did your love of coaching hammer start here at Southern Arkansas?
Yeah, so that too. I had a girl I was coaching. She wasn't the best high school thrower. She threw like 31 feet, and not only think it was 31 feet in shot put, and then like 85 feet in disc, which wouldn't be like big recruiting numbers like at that time, or period. And so basically I was coaching her, and she ended up first year she threw like 101, which is like the first semester I was there, and then the next year we got a fall, and then she ended up throwing like 160 something,
Well,
and she became a conference
I'm
champion.
sorry. I'm sure our phone's disconnected there. You did not say she went from 101 to 160.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yep.
So what do you think changed? Was it just you had a full year, you could implement more? Did you get her stronger? What something radically had to have changed?
Um, I think it was just like me learning how to coach better
Interesting.
and spending more time with them and building the culture. And it became that. And she wasn't the only one. I had another freshman guy who went from like the same around, like he threw like 105 or something. Came back the next year and he got second. We had a really good hammer thrower that year in the conference. But he got second and he ended up, I think he finished, I want to say like 54 or 52 meters or something like
Hmm.
that. But yeah, a lot of them were growing, and it was fast. Like within that certain amount of time I was there, and a lot of them had big success after I left.
Well, that's interesting. It does talk about it's a real testament to the power of coaching. It's not just the athlete and their natural ability, and it actually takes a coach ability to bring out those athletic talents. And so with that coaching, and I love that humility you had there, Joseph, about, you learned to become a better coach. I love that. Success there at Southern Arkansas. I always try to find ways to put hip hop references in here. So this gives me my opportunity. LL Cool J tells us that he went back to California. You went back to California.
What was it? LL Cool J?
Wasn't it back? I'm going back to Cali. I'm going back.
No,
Oh man, I'm not going to sing
that's
it.
Biggie Smalls, man.
No, man. You know
Or
what?
maybe it's a different one. Maybe it's a song I never heard.
See, you young. I'm an old cat, I think is what I
Okay,
would
that's
refer
what
to
it is.
myself. So when we get done recording with this, we're going to have to figure it out. So someone right now is listening and they're Googling. Well, either they're Googling because they also don't know, or they're laughing at us because we're both wrong or something. So anyway, you for sure were going back to Cali. You parlayed your graduate work there at Southern Arkansas over to your current position at Cal Poly-Pomona.
Yeah.
Tell us about Pomona.
I ended up getting a job at Pomona. And then so I basically started there. I would say when I got there, I was super optimistic about being there. And then I was getting ready to have my first child. And it was just the right time to get back to California, basically. And I was excited for my first position. So I got there, and it was I would say it was a rough when I first got there, and I'll say it was rough because it was coming from the athletes. That transition in the middle of the year. Most of the athletes went through 4 coaches already. Now they just listen to a new one who's very young, and they're not really sure about, because I was in the last coach. It was rough. So I had to basically battle through that. But I had some good when I got there. A lot of the kids that really listened to me were the ones that were PRing and really growing. And I think I had that.
Isn't that amazing how that works out?
Yeah, exactly. And that's when they kind of learned, really. I think I got when the first year I had 2 provisional qualifiers, NCAA Division II provisional qualifiers from a girl that was basically never thrown in her life. And I think the other coach recruited her and brought her in to throw jab, but she ended up throwing disc because she threw 150 something at the time. And then we had a senior guy who I think was the same age as me at that time. And he ended up doing provisional, and we were trying to make it to nationals, but it just didn't happen. I think it was just too short amount of time. Yeah, but the second year was definitely a whole breath of fresh air because I got my recruiting in, and then I kept the people that were really bought in and ready to go and roll.
Now, I'm terrible with geography in general, but definitely in the state of California. You mentioned earlier about how long Texas was the drive-through. Well, California is that vertically. Where does Pomona sit in relation to your home area of Bakersfield? Is it close to home?
It's about 2 hours away. So it's just the east side of LA. So LA isn't that far from Bakersfield. It's about 2 hours away. But I'd rather drive from LA to Bakersfield than Pomona to Bakersfield because it's a little longer. Yeah, but I live in LA though.
Is that right? And what season is this for you at Pomona? How many years now?
This would have been my 3rd season.
Yeah. And we talked earlier, you mentioned you're having your first child. You've got a 2-year-old little girl. Yep. How has being a father changed the way you've coached, if at all?
I don't know. It made me a little soft.
The big football daddy has got a daughter now.
I ain't as hard as I was in Arkansas. I'm a little soft now, but it's all good.
Well, if you're friends with Joseph on Facebook, you've seen pictures of his little girl, and she might be the sweetest looking little girl ever, man. Thanks. You do a really good job of being a father to her, man. She's lucky to have you and vice versa.
Appreciate it.
So what are your goals there at Pomona? You know, you're back home in your home state of California. You've got a 2-year-old girl. You're starting to recruit your own athletes. What's the future look like for you at Pomona?
So basically, I guess I would say, just continue to grow in the program. My goal is just to make this program better than when I came, and I think I'm doing that. I'm doing that already, but I just want to grow as much as I can. And man, I'm super excited for next year because like I had a good group of senior guys, and they were supposed to all leave this year. They were supposed to all leave, but I got them
Oh,
all returning on top of some big recruits. So it's supposed to be
oh,
it's
exciting.
gonna be a real special year next year. I just can't wait to get back to work, and get continue with them, and the same thing on the women's side. You know, just recruiting and continue to build that. And I was blessed to like have some opportunities to coach athletes since I've been there. One of my athletes she made the U20s as a freshman. She
Hmm.
was one of the best discus throwers in the freshman class that year. I think she ended up finishing eighth at U20s. And she went to nationals as a freshman, and she broke a 31 year school record. She's
Oh,
growing,
very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So she's growing, and on top of that, we're bringing in people that I think I have now a state champion in javelin, and they're just growing and learning and building. That's my goal, is just to get those people not only athletic but academically. I mean, we always tell the athletes at our school is that if you don't graduate, then we all failed, and that's kind of
Hmm.
where I feel like I get my reward from, because coming from a background where nobody ever went to college or let alone graduated high school, my goal is to get these people there to help them get their degree, help them make them better individuals, and being there when they need something. Like period. Anytime they need something, as far as like they might need a letter of recommendation, I'm always going to be there for them and stuff like that. But I think those things is what's rewarding to me, why I do my job. If I can do that, because you can take away all the like accolades and stuff. If they don't get their degree, it don't matter. But that's kind of like the main reason why I think I coach, and which makes me happy to do it in every day.
It's because you've seen what the perseverance and attitude of just continued hard work brings with a college degree and what that's opened up for you.
Yeah, exactly, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's opened up a lot, and basically like I would say changed my family's what do you say? Was it trajectory? Trajectory?
Yeah, the trajectory. Uh huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like it done that, and basically paying off, and it'll lead a way for like my daughter and my future kids, and example. And the same thing with like with my wife. Same thing. She has a degree also, and we're both working, and we both work in the education field, and we're just
Hmm.
trying to give back. We're not, we were just talking about this the other day. It's not, money helps you live well, and that's one of the most important things that matter to me. But I think it's about being happy when you go to your job. Like I love what I do. Um, like every day, I be basically, it's hard for me to sleep, especially during the season, because I'm ready to get back to practice. I'm ready to go to a meet. And it's funny because sometimes you get older coaches, sometimes they don't feel that way. Like they feel that way, but not like how I feel it now. Like every day, I'm always track and field. That's my life. Even when I get home, I try to like incorporate it. If I'm spending time with my daughter's watching the videos with me. You know what I mean? So I keep her part of it too. You know what I mean? So like it's literally my life, and it means so much to me. And I think like I just want to continue to grow and become a big part of that, and in the legacy of it.
Well, I certainly echo that statement from what I've seen of you and your geekdom for track and field. You do, it seems nonstop for you. And the enthusiasm that you have for coaching is definitely bar none. You are out there. I love that so much. But I would tell you, your example that you give to the athletes, to your daughter, about that perseverance, it doesn't matter where you came from type of attitude.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be one of your biggest legacies as we watch your coaching career develop over the next 10, 20. I mean, you're a young guy, man. You're
yeah,
40, 50 years. You could be coaching and affecting young people's lives. So it's going to be really exciting to see you continue that passion of coaching track and field, but also coaching young men and women's lives.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out because I would say the one thing that kind of gave me this attitude, I would say, and helped me bring this is definitely like when I was during those times at Fresno State. I would listen to a lot of Eric Thomas videos, the motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy really carried me. Like you know how you get those memories on Facebook that come back, like
Uh-huh.
I would get memories from like 2012 to 2013, the time where I was really grinding and like trying to figure stuff out, and I had so many quotes from him, and I'm like, that's why I show my athletes him too, and let them know, like, man, if you do the things that you really plan to do and really put your all into it, it'll all come back to you. None of this championship stuff, none of your degree won't come back to you if you're not working for it. You got to put in your deposit to get money back. So that's what I always tell them. Just like keep grinding and it'll pay off. And I instill in that in them. Like that's our culture for them. It's hard working. Like I just put out a video recently. We put out a video it was no script, no nothing. It was what they were saying, and all of it was just hard work and relying on each other and being a team. And that's what I try to build when kids come to our school. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there just so to
Yeah.
go
Shout
along
out
with
to
my
Eric Thomas,
so thank
man.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We all have to have role models like that can help us. I'm not sure anybody can motivate someone else. I think you have to have that spark in you.
exactly.
So
Intrinsic.
yes, I think an Eric Thomas helped maybe fan that flame
Exactly.
that's inside of you. And the good news is now, I'm going to interview someone in 10, 15 years, and they're going to tell me how Joseph Blue was their motivator. They were an athlete of yours, and that's the reason they became a track coach,
All right,
man.
I hope
I just
so.
know I'm foretelling the future right here. Well,
All right.
that's a good place for us to stop right there, Joseph. I can't say thank you enough for spending time with us today on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
You got a great story there, my man, and I love getting on the ground floor because again, we're going to revisit this in 10 years, and it's just going to be you're building the base of a large pyramid of success for you and your family, and I'm just so proud to be able to share that story with others.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, go have a good day. As soon as we get done, I'm going to go send you that video from LL Cool
All
J,
right,
just so you know.
I'm gonna send you the Biggie Smalls one too.
Yeah, I want to hear that version. I love Biggie. I don't know that version. Oh, absolutely. All right, my man. Have a great day.
All right.
Well, guys, I hope you received as much value from Joseph's interview as I did. I just went and looked. We were both right. LL Cool J did Going Back to Cali. That's maybe the original one. I'm the older one out of Joseph and I, so that's the one I remembered. But Biggie Smalls did do a song called Going Back to Cali. I'm going to listen to both of those songs as soon as we hang up here. Hey, if you've made it this far, thanks for joining us. Your time and attention are extremely valuable, and we don't take that lightly. We certainly appreciate that you decided to spend it with us today, right here. Want to know when future episodes of the podcast are available? The best way is to subscribe to the podcast in the app that you are listening to right now. In the meantime, if this episode of the podcast provided you with value, would you consider sharing it to your network? This way you can provide others with the same value that you received. That's it for today, folks. Can't wait to join you next time for another episode of the Gill Athletics Connections podcast.